This question we're being asked to find the derivative of this relation using implicit differentiation. So yeah, notice that in this one we don't have it set up as y is equal to something, right? It's not a function. So what we want to do here is we are going to just take the derivative of each term. So let's do that first. So we're just going to rewrite this as, and quite often with implicit differentiation, we like to write things in Leibniz notation. So this will be kind of new. We haven't been doing a ton with this yet, but we're just writing this first term as d dx. That's another way of just saying like the derivative. Okay, for now, this is the derivative of 4xy squared, and then the dx on the bottom means with respect to x. Think about that as like the input. Like x is like your input function when we do it. Okay. Minus, and then same thing, d dx of 5x to the 3 is equal to d dx, or the derivative of 83. Okay. So now these two are going to be pretty easy actually. So I'm going to leave those for a second, but we got a little bit of work to do on this first one because we've got an x and a y term in there, and they're being multiplied together. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to focus just on this one for a second. So we've got d dx of 4xy squared. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this coefficient out front. So this is the same thing as saying 4 times the derivative of x times y squared. All right, so now that 4 just kind of hangs out up front. Now we get to use the product rule now in this case. So we can think of this as being, this is being my f, and this is being my g. So let's keep going with this. So now if we actually take the derivative of this, this would be 4 times, and if we're going to apply the quotient rule here, the quotient rule is f times g prime plus g times f prime. So f is my first, so that's going to be x, and then times g prime. So what is g prime? So this is going to be, so times, so now let's take the derivative of y. So what happens here is, so the 2 comes down, so we're going to take the derivative like normal. So it's going to be 2y, and this is the part that you'd be used to, right? But now what we want to do, what we have to do is we have to multiply that by y prime, because that's the derivative of like the inside. And the reason for it is because like that is the with respect to x part. Okay? We don't know what x is, or we don't know what the expression for y prime is, so we just leave it as y prime. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And then moving on to the next part, so now we have plus, and then it's g times f prime. So g is y squared, and then times f prime. So f is x, so that would just be times 1. Okay, now let's just keep going with this just so we can simplify this down a little bit more. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to expand that 4 into both of these terms. So to there. So 4 times 2 is 8, x, y, and then times y prime. And then plus 4 y squared. And then the 1 didn't really matter there, did it? Okay. So, just going back on what we were doing, right? We found this. That's what we just found. So that was that derivative. Okay. And now the derivative of the next piece is going to be just like we always do, right? Because we're with respect to x, and it's of x, so we just take the derivative like normal, because the inside function would end up just being 1 there, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so then that will be minus 15 x to the power of 2. All right, and that's equal to, and now we just have the derivative of a constant term, so that would just be 0. All right, so what was the point of all that? Well, in this expression now, we have y prime. So now all we have to do is just rearrange for y prime, and then we should be done. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring these two terms, I'm going to get them over to the other side first. So now we have 8x times y prime is equal to, and then when these guys come to the other side, they're just going to be the opposite sign. So now we have 15x squared minus 4y squared all over. We'll just leave it like that for now. And then if I want to solve for y prime, I'm just going to divide both sides by 8xy. So we end up with y prime is equal to 15x squared minus 4y squared all over 8xy.